Hello YouTube, this is Josh with the Pantek Brothers, and this is going to be the Tech News Week update. And so first off, we want to start off with Amazon has launched its first successful autonomous drone delivery for a package in the UK. It delivered an Amazon Fire TV and a bag of popcorn. It took about 30 minutes from the time that the user placed the order to the actual delivery. And right now Amazon has a very limited scope for its beta test for this, but they're hoping to expand that for those users to 7 days a week of availability during daylight and good weather. So this is kind of the first steps for them in testing their autonomous package delivery service, and it's definitely a step in the right direction and see where that can go. California has basically ordered Uber, who on the same exact day released their semi-autonomous fleet of cars out into the world, to cease and desist. Essentially, they state that Uber does not have the correct permits and licensing to have their semi-autonomous cars on the roads in California. Uber is basically fighting that claim and stating that because the cars are not fully autonomous and require a human to be behind the wheel, that they don't fall under that same autonomous car requirement of needing those licenses and permits. Yahoo has yet again announced another data breach. They have about 1 billion users affected in this one. Hackers were able to gain access to names, email addresses, and the hashed passwords. This actually goes back all the way to August of 2013, so over 3 years now that this has been an exploit available to hackers. And so this is a very large breach, obviously. But I'm not really sure who still uses Yahoo or has a Yahoo account that they actively use, but if you do, you definitely need to go and change your password. So next up on the list for today, a couple pieces of Nintendo news. Nintendo will be taking the newly announced Switch console on tour next month. And obviously it launches in March, but they will be going on a tour in New York and San Antonio, Chicago, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and showing off the new console, which is very exciting. We'll see what Nintendo has in store for this next generation, and see if it can be more successful than the Wii and the Wii U. Also on Nintendo news, the NES Classic, which you all know as the mini Nintendo Entertainment System, launched here in the United States and sold 196,000 copies in the United States, which sounds like a lot until you found out that it sold more than that in just a week in Japan. Obviously, in the United States here, we're suffering from a supply crisis, or at least something is limiting the amount of consoles that we have access to be able to purchase in the United States. So the number may be higher if there was more available. But it's still impressive, and I don't have one yet. I don't know if I'll actually pick one up, but it looks like a nice nostalgia to the NES. I wish the cables were longer. That's obviously the big complaint, and that you could add more games in the future. Seems kind of limiting with the original number that were there. And yet another piece of Nintendo news, the Super Mario Run app launched on the iOS this week and almost instantly became the top downloaded game in the iTunes store. So it seems to be getting good reviews. People like the game, though they feel it's a little, I guess maybe dumbed down from all the people who love the Mario franchise, and it would have been nice to see a full-fledged actual Mario game come out to the iOS mobile, but it is something, and it's moving in the right direction. Who knows, Nintendo may actually decide to come out with full-fledged ports of the Mario games in the future, but we shall see. So, on to Apple. All those who bought the new iPhone and loved the fact that the headphone jack is gone and were looking forward to those AirPods, earbuds, will likely not like this information, especially if you're one who loses tech or loses things in general. Apple will charge you $70 if you lose one of those tiny little AirPods. So those are quite expensive to begin with for the set, but losing one will cost you just a little under half the cost of the pair, which is $160 retail. So $70 if you lose one of those little AirPods. So better hold on to those. Apple news, but also smartwatches in general, is that there's kind of speculation that smartwatches are kind of dying off, in that there hasn't been a large enough adoption rate for the tech to make it really viable going forward. We already heard earlier that Motorola is not going to be producing a new smartwatch next year, and so there's a lot of speculation whether or not smartwatches in general are going to be moving forward much. Obviously, Asus has come out with the new smartwatch, and Samsung is coming out with theirs as well. But the Apple Watch isn't doing so well. And the most recent report from IDC suggests the Apple Watch, even though it's the most popular of the smartwatches, has dropped to 71% from last year, and overall the sales are down over 51%. So even though they came out with a software update recently, it doesn't seem to be doing much for gaining traction in sales. So it'll be interesting to see what Apple does with future Apple products as far as the watch goes, if they'll come out with a new version or just continue to maybe update the software in hopes that it'll take off. But it's not looking too good for smartwatches in general, and especially the Apple Watch. So we turn to a tech that is gaining a lot of grounds and is being used more and more by mainstream, which is 3D printing. And so a company has come up with a piece of software that turns basically any 3D printed model into a musical instrument, a woodwind specifically. So you can import a 3D model into their software. It'll create a basically hollow resonance chamber inside of the model, and then help you through the process of placing finger holes as well as a mouthpiece on the model. And then in turn, after it's done, you can print it and play it. I'm going to have a link obviously in the description. It shows kind of the process and how it works, and some examples of people playing different 3D models that were printed, and it's very cool. Being a musician myself, I find it kind of intriguing. I like 3D printing as well, and opens up a little more possibilities for the use as an end user, someone who may not have a ton of money to buy a super expensive 3D printer, but wants to have some fun with it. Especially for kids, it'd be fun to put some products out that kids can enjoy playing, and maybe using maybe their favorite toy and turn it into a musical instrument. Not so fun for the parents who have to listen to the horrible noises that can come out of these things. So, if you remember, Samsung announced that they will be pushing out an update for the Galaxy Note 7. Those people who have not returned or exchanged their devices, that basically effectively brick the device and keep it from charging. When I first announced this about a week ago, Verizon updated that they would not cripple their users' devices, and they have actually retracted that, and starting January 5th, Verizon will be pushing this update out to effectively break the device and keep it from charging. It is obviously a large enough safety concern where Verizon felt that it really needs to happen. And so if you have not yet, go return, exchange your Note 7. It could possibly explode, catch on fire, and cause a lot of damage and harm. I hope you guys enjoyed the this tech news update for the week. I do not think I'll be able to do tech news at noon every day, as my work schedule just does not permit the extra time during the lunch break to be able to do this consistently enough. So my goal is to put out a tech news review for the week to get you guys updated on some of the tech news that happened during the week, and at least have a good snippet there for you guys so you can catch up on tech news. I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and once again, if you like this series, if you like our channel, please subscribe, like the videos, share them with your friends, social media, so we can continue to gain some exposure, especially in creating more videos. We thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.